Okay, sorry about that, guys. If you were you watched the last video, we tried to start and had some technical issues there, so I apologize for that. But we're back, and again, as I was saying on the last attempt, if today this particular video is going to focus on understanding that profits are better than wages. So in this video, we're going to teach you and show you by principles how you can go from earning a living to making a profit on this edition of Maximum Life with yours truly, Michael Norman. Let's go. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to just simply say, first of all, this to kind of introduce myself because my channel is growing. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel and you're having to just watch it here or either on Facebook, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. It helps for others to help find and locate my channel a lot easier. It helps with the algorithms. And so do that for me. And please make sure that you like the videos because I guarantee you to give you content that is going to absolutely be a great blessing to you. I promise you, no fillers. It's going to happen for you. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about profits are better than wages. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand the meaning and the implication behind that statement because we all want to be able to enjoy profits. We all want to be able to live a life of abundance. I don't know of any person who's excited about scarcity and lack and not having enough. So that's the whole idea behind Maximum Life. That's why we do the videos to help you to understand how that you can systematically, now this is not magic, but it does happen systematically. It is a system. There's a success has a system. And if you understand and follow the system and the principles that are associated with success, then you too can have success in whatever venture or enterprise you endeavor. Because again, there's nothing special about me that is not already in you. We're all created in God's image with potential to be whatever we desire to be. So before we get started, let me take a moment to let you know that this particular broadcast or video is sponsored by Michael Norman Ministries. This ministry is committed, and this is why we do this, because we're committed to helping people transform their minds, unlock their purpose, discover their potential, and live at their highest level. So with that being said, I want to thank you for tuning in and ask you to become an electronic evangelist and just click that share button and share with everyone you know, okay? So today I want to talk about profits are better than wages. Profits are better than wages. Now, I will say from the onset that this is absolutely a mind shift. And I want to say also that you are literally one slight, not a big thing, not a humongous transition of any sort, just one slight pivot, one slight mind shift away from enjoying a life of abundance and excess. I believe, scripturally speaking, because I'm a firm believer in the scriptures, and that is the Bible when it says that above all things, I desire that you may prosper and be in good health. So I'm into prospering, and obviously I want to be into good health. So if God's into that for me and it's his desire for me, then that must mean that I have to find out the principles that will afford me the opportunity to prosper and to be in good health. Obviously, for good health, I got to eat right, got to be willing to exercise. I've got to be able to periodically push back away from the table and allow my body to reset itself, to replenish. And the same is true with prospering and prosperity or abundance in general. You have to, again, adhere to the principles because the principles works every time. You can knock your head against it as long as you want. The principle is not going to change no matter what your circumstances. And as much as God is a God of love, he will not intervene and he will not change your mind concerning what it is you believe. Because he says all things are possible to them that believe, to you that believe. Whatsoever thing you desire, when you pray, believe, and you shall have them. So it's not a question of if God wants you to have it, as much as it is a question of How badly do you want it? So that being said, let me start out with my statement again. When I said earlier, and I believe this is Rome, the historic motivational speaker Jim Rohn said, wages makes you a living, but profits makes you a fortune. And now, so now we got to deal with a mindset. Now here's where the transformation will take place. When you understand that there's a mentality that goes along with being wealthy, just as there is a mentality that goes along with being poor or in barely having enough. There's a mindset, there's a mentality that affects both ends of the spectrum. A mindset that leads to abundance and prosperity, and a mindset that leads to poverty and lack. The question is, what type of mindset are you operating from? What's your disposition? What's your mental disposition? And that will be the determining factor as to how and what your life will turn out to be. So one of the things I need to address is that most people think that they can get rich by some sort of osmosis effect, that if God wants me to have it, he'll give it to me. And that's one of the worst prayers you could ever pray, because it's a prayer, first of all, of ignorance, because that's not an insult. I don't mean to insult anyone, but it is a prayer of ignorance, because God has already stated that he wants you to prosper. As a matter of fact, if you believe in God, if you believe in the scriptures, then you know in Genesis, when God creates Adam and Eve, he did not give them barely enough. He's like, he didn't just give them just enough to make it day by day, barely. He gave them everything that he created, everything that he designed, everything that he built, he created. He gave it over to Adam and Eve and said, have dominion. That doesn't mean you can do anything and everything you want. It means have responsibility, take responsibility, operate in a stewardship fashion, because I'm giving you responsibility. And so we understand then God does really want us to prosper. It's not an issue. He does not have a problem with you being rich. God does not have a problem with you having more than enough. Now, people may have a problem, but that has nothing to do with God's divine design for your life and how he wants you to prosper. Because I'm fully convinced, based on pretty empirical evidence, that God really does want you to have a life of abundance. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of men the great things that God has in store for his people. Now, that being said, we've got to get to the practical aspect of these words that I'm speaking, because again, we can want it as much as much as we want to prosper. We can desire it, but again, if your faith without works is dead being alone. So it's not enough to just want to have abundance. It's not enough to just want to prosper. You've got to be willing to do the correlating work that brings you into that level of abundance. So let me start with the as some would call it, it's Myron Golden's favorite statement. He calls it the miseducation system, and that's what he calls the public school system, because the public school system is not designed to teach you how to prosper. It's not designed to teach you how to become independently wealthy. It's not designed for you to be rich. It's actually, if you know the history of the public school system, it's actually designed to teach you how to go to work and earn a wage. And ever since this institution has come about, this institution of the public school system, ever since it's come about, its only main goal is to drive the point home that you need an education so that you can get a good paying job. So you see, they've already put a cap in our mentality, because they're saying for you to get a job. Now, you can have various levels of occupation, but it's still a job, because someone is over you deciding for you what type of lifestyle you'll be able to afford based on the job that you perform. And so some are at, $15 an hour, some are at $35 an hour. Others may be at $100 an hour. Some lawyers make upwards of $300 an hour. But I know several individuals who make in 1 hour can make up to $30,000 in 1 hour. But you will never hear about that in a public school setting because they're designed to help put you into the workforce. So this goes all the way back to the industrial age when the economy was booming. We were coming into new cars and new inventions and things of that nature. We had these huge manufacturing plants that are no longer here. But those huge manufacturing plants required a large number of employees in order for them to manufacture the things that they want, cars, appliances, and things of that nature. So, and then generally they were good jobs. They were good paying jobs, particularly if you were in the automotive industry, you probably earned a pretty decent living. But again, it is not because you desired it as much as the manufacturer themselves said, this is what we're willing to pay you. Now, you got to know that in life, and particularly in the jobs market or in the career field, these occupation, the things that we apply for jobs when we go to interview and things of that nature for various positions, what they are negotiation sessions. They're going to say to you, we have an opening. We are going to hire the best qualified person for the job. However, the best qualified person for this job is only going to make a certain dollar amount, no matter how good you are. And you may be and excel every one of the other applicants, but guess what? You cannot dictate your own income, the salary that you're going to make. So and many would call a job as an acronym, just over broke. That's what a job in many people's mind is. Those that are successful, they understand that. The entrepreneurial minded person, they understand that a job in many cases rather, is just above broke because they're never going to pay you excessive amounts of money. The only time that that's going to happen is when you develop a program, a service, a product, or something that is in such high demand that people will pay you whatever you ask for them to be able to purchase it. A prime example would be someone like a Bill Gates. Bill Gates developed the Microsoft. That's a software. For those of you who don't remember, there was a time when everything had to be typed out on a laborious typewriter, and then it'd be printed on paper, and then you had to store the paper away. But then if you store it too long, the paper begins to erode and basically crumple up, and then you have to make copies of the copies of the copies in order for us to be able to maintain those documents for long periods of time. But along comes Bill Gates. He says, I've got an idea. It's called Microsoft, and it is called a data processor, or a computer software. And in this software, all of the documents that you would normally type up, you can type it into your computer and store it onto your hard drive, escaping the potential for lost sheets of paper, for erosions and things of that nature. And it made him a multi-billionaire because he found something that most people needed. And when I say most, that's like most of humanity. I mean, the Microsoft is all over the world. Then, of course, you got Michael Dell, who invented basically the computer, and it goes on and on and on and on from there. So to this present day, when you've got a person like the founder of Facebook, he discovered something that most people would enjoy having. And as such, Zuckerberg becomes a multi-billionaire. So the question becomes not whether or not you can find the perfect job, as much as what can I come up with that will be so needful that people will pay for, people from all around the world will pay for my product or my service or my information. That is what the challenge is. So this is called an entrepreneurial spirit. So when you add value to yourself, you become valuable to others. When you add more value to yourself, you become more valuable to others. Trust me, even your job, they're paying you for what you can do. That's why they have the application process, so that they can find out what it is you know and how proficient you are at it and how long you've been proficient at it. That is to determine whether or not they can bring you or are willing to bring you on to their corporation and how much value you will add to the corporation. Now, if you've got a job, it's a clear indication that you represent value. And the more value you represent to that corporation, the better job or position you can earn. If you're coming in with no college education, no college degree, more than likely you're only going to qualify for an entry level position, as opposed to someone who has a college degree will come in at a higher position or a higher paid wage. And then you've got one who's mastered who gets more than the one with a simple degree. And it goes on and on for those who have even more insight and information. So you're getting paid regardless of what you think about it. You're getting paid because of the value you represent to the corporation, no matter what the field may be. You can be a lowly cash clerk at the supermarket, at the checkout counter. Because you possess a certain value to the corporation, they are going to put you at the cash register at the checkout line. Or you can be the supervising manager of the entire supermarket. It's all about the value that you represent. That's why education is so important. Not necessarily, I'm not necessarily saying you have to go enroll into a college, although that might not be a bad thing in and of itself. But anything that gives you greater knowledge, that gives you greater insight, that you have more ingenuity or more understanding about, that your level of intellect supersedes the majority of human beings, to the extent that people will petition you to come and explain and then unfold or help them to achieve their goals. Which brings me to my next point, because it takes an entrepreneurial mindset to really, I guess you could say, manifest this sort of life. Because again, you have to be willing to add value to yourself so that you can add worth, or let me put it the other way, add worth to yourself to the point that you're adding value to a prospective business or a prospective client. So you had to add wealth. And so what happens is, if say for instance you've been an accountant with any corporation for over 10, 20 years, you have a level of expertise that they, number one, they're paying you for, but I can almost guarantee you they're not paying you anywhere near what you could make on your own, given the fact that you've got 10 to 20 years of experience and know-how. I'm almost willing to bet that if you started your own business, given, of course, notwithstanding if you don't have a non-compete clause or something, not telling you to do anything to violate your policy. However, again, If you've got 10 to 20 years of expertise in any field of business, I, I can almost guarantee you with a certain level of certainty that you're not getting paid according to your worth. You're getting paid based on their ability to pay. So if you per se started, and I'm not saying leave your corporation, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying leave your corporation, at least not right now. I'm saying recognize the value and worth that you bring to the corporation, because this is going to be the impetus that brings you to the place where you understand, hey, I can go from making a living to making a fortune. I can go from earning wages to earning fortunes or making fortunes. How do I do that? Well, you don't have to go out and do it immediately. You can do it part-time. You recognize I've been doing, they say that if you've been doing anything for more than 10,000 hours, you are a professional. You're considered a professional or an expertise or an expert. So if you've got the hours, you've got the experience, all you need now is the clientele. Find the people who need what you offer and offer it to them on a, number one, on a professional level, on a consistent level, and on a reliable level. Because there are those who have the skill set, but they don't have the business acumen. They don't have the capacity to do it on a consistent level. They don't understand the value of follow-up. They don't understand the value of customer service and things of that nature. How many times have you ever called a corporation or called the office of maybe some business, and the person answering the phone is maybe not as pleasant as they need to be, or perhaps they have an accent that you can't even understand what they're saying in many cases. So again, there's a lot that goes along with having the basic knowledge that most corporations and individuals would pay for. But again, you have to understand what goes along with being a business person, being an entrepreneur. It's more than just having this proper skill set in terms of your talent level, but also how to supplement that and support that with a business infrastructure that allows for growth and expansion. Okay? So when you add value to yourself, you become more valuable to others. So learn a skill to master that helps you, learn a skill that helps others win. This is what I was trying to say earlier. When you learn a skill that helps others win, it adds value to you. Anything that helps another person win, in many cases, I would say in the majority of cases, they will be willing to pay you for that assistance. So learn a skill that helps others win. Don't be so focused on making money for yourself until you pass. Let me make this statement clear because I want you to get this. Learn a skill that helps others win, number one. Get the skill. If you got the skill set, then of course, now you make that offer to others so that it helps them win. Never, I got to say this. Never go into business simply to make money. If you're going into a business so that you can simply just make more money, you're going into it with the wrong reason, and more than likely, you're not going to survive for a very long period of time. But if you go in with the mindset of, I want to help as many people as I possibly can, that's going to empower you and give you the innovation and the ingenuity and the motivation to do the things that will tend towards growth and expansion, because the more people you help, the more your company grows and the more money and profits comes in. So let me make this statement one more time. I'm just about out of time here. Learn a skill to master that help others to win. Don't be so focused on making money for yourself until you pass up the opportunities, because oftentimes when you're so focused on making money for yourself, you can't see the opportunity. when they present themselves, because oftentimes opportunities are inconvenient. For that person that's purely looking, where can I make more money? Where can I make more money? How can I get more money? For that person who's only in it for the money, they will pass up the opportunity that exists, that are right in front of your face oftentimes. So again, don't be so focused on making money till you pass up the opportunities for others to make money. Don't pass up the opportunity to help others make more money, because in helping them make more money, they will pay you handsomely for affording them the opportunity to do. And the more people you help, obviously, the more money you will make. Focus on helping others make money, and yours will come as a result. Don't put the cart before the horse, okay? If you're interested in becoming successful in business, you've got to adhere to this principle that if I can help as many people as possible, then they are in turn going to help me to become more successful. You know, there's a verse in the Bible where Jesus says, if you want to be great, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be great, but he that is greatest among you will be the servant of all. So the way to greatness is to find a way to serve. And if you can serve enough people's needs, then that in and of itself will become the impetus that causes wealth and prosperity and profits to come to you. Okay? So again, this is a mind shift, but I promise you, it's not the grandiose things that's going to transform your life. It's the small things. Something is a small incremental shift in your mindset that is literally going to yield prosperity and increase. So, let me give you this one too. I got a couple of more points that I'm going to end the broadcast. So, one of the things that we have to get rid of is the scarcity mindset. And the scarcity mindset looks like this. They always want something for nothing. You'll never, and I mean never, reach your full potential if you're constantly looking to get something for nothing. Even the Bible says, this is God talking, he says, buy the truth and sell it not. So even God understands sometimes you got to be willing to pay the full price. You might not be able to afford to attend that webinar or that conference right now, or maybe you don't have the money to attend a webinar or a conference you'd like to go to. But if you stop thinking, I don't have enough, and start thinking, what do I need to do to get the money so that I can attend the conference? That's a whole different mind shift. That's what I'm talking about. You know, you've heard the saying that it's the small foxes that destroys the vine. If you've heard that statement, it's the small foxes that destroys the vine, then you understand if a small fox can destroy the vine, then it must be small things that I need to correct that will give increase, that will yield increase to my life. So if it's true in the negative, it's got to be true in the positive sense. So again, you're not going to have to make big changes, just small incremental mind shifts that are going to bring you into profits, because profits are better than wages. As a matter of fact, profits can grow faster than wages. Not only is it oftentimes more than wages, but it grows exponentially faster than wages. I'll tell you this, I came up with a webinar for myself. I wanted to teach something that I learned concerning much of what I'm talking about right now. And so I said, I know what I'll do. I'm going to present this as a webinar. I'm going to attach a value to it. And once they pay the value, it will not only be a blessing to me, but I'll be able to share this insight with others. And as such, long story short, I presented the website or the webinar. I presented that webinar, and first of all, let me tell you something. I paid for the knowledge that I gained. I paid over $2,000 to attend a class. I almost got in trouble with my wife. It's like I paid the $2,000 to attend a class that I knew I needed the information so that I can add it to my value worth and then present that to the public in the form of an offer. And so I did that. Paid the money. I didn't quibble. I didn't try to negotiate a lesser price. He said it was $2,000. I had to find it. However, get a loan, borrow, find it some sort of way. I got the money, paid the fee, got the knowledge, added it with the knowledge I already possessed, presented it, packaged it, and then presented it in a webinar that people paid to attend. And I made literally, I would say, over seven times that $2,000. And I made it, guess what? In 1 hour. It only took 1 hour, maybe an hour and 45 minutes. That's Q&A, to make 7 to 8 times more than I paid for the knowledge that I gained. So again, you can literally, if you can get out of the mindset that I have to make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100 an hour, if you can eradicate that mentality and say, I can literally make $50,000 an hour. I can make a whole year's income in just 1 hour. If I got the right product and I've got the right market. So again, pay for things. Here's the cool thing. If there's something you desire in your life, maybe golf bags, clubs, car, whatever you might desire, rather than thinking of going to get a loan to pay for it, think of starting a business, create an offer that makes enough money to pay for the thing you want to buy. That way, you do not run yourself into debt trying to buy clubs, buy a car, or whatever material thing that you desire by just paying for it out of pocket. If you just make the right offer, the offer itself has the potential to pay for the things you desire. That's how entrepreneurs think. We're not consumers. We're manufacturers. We come up with ideas, innovation that helps people. And that's what you can become right now. So if you do it right now, you can literally change the course of your life. You just, as I said before, just a mild incremental mind shift can change the very trajectory of your life to bring you into profits. Because again, as I said before, profits are better than wages. Profits are better than wages. And if you understand that, then you'll at least start having the mindset of what can I offer that people will be willing to pay for? What skill sets that I possess that will compel people to purchase that knowledge, purchase those skill set, rent that knowledge, or however you want to phrase it, package it in such a way that when it gets to the point where it rivals your wages, when you're making more money with your entrepreneurial effort, with your offers, than you're making with your wages, maybe that's the time to start thinking about letting the wage producing job go so that you can maximize and put more effort and energy into the profit making enterprise, because profits are much better than wages. So to help you along, that's all I have for you on this particular video. So, but to help you along the way, I want you to grab my book. If you go to Amazon.com, look for my book called the algorithm of wealth, the global algorithm of wealth. The information is going to be in the description section and down below us, but make sure you go there. There's 3 web addresses, 3 important ones, one of which is Michael Norman Ministries. That's where I'm doing one-on-one counseling or one-on-one consulting with various leaders, entrepreneurs, business leaders, and individuals from a wide variety of backgrounds. You can set up a time where we can strategize and help you to come up with a strategy that leads you to a place of prosperity and abundance. That's Michael Norman Ministries. Then there's michaelnorman.net. michaelnorman.net is designed for those who want to become a digital CEO. If that's you, you're saying, what's a digital CEO? Well, go to michaelnorman.net and you'll find out how you can start your own digital business today, as opposed to building a brick and mortar that takes weeks and months and lots of money, thousands upon thousands. We're talking about $10,000, maybe $20,000 to start your traditional. That's on the very low end to start your brick and mortar. As opposed to if you start your digital business based on that, again, that knowledge that you have, that proficiency that you possess, we can start your online business today and start making profits tomorrow. Okay, it's just that easy. michaelnorman.net. And then, of course, our financial service that we offer. I'm a member with the New Power Generation. If you go to newpowergeneration.us, you'll get more information, a wealth of knowledge on wealth strategies, how to manage your money, insurance. There's so much information there, I can't even go into it right now. So go to newpowergeneration.us and check us out, okay? Until the next time, wishing God's best for you. Thank you for joining me. Make sure that you share and, first of all, like the video, share it with your friends. If you're not a member, subscribe to this channel. And of course, we'll see you on our next video right here on Maximum Life with yours truly, Michael Norman. We'll see you next time.